Welcome back to New to Medical Device Sales. I am your host, Jacob McLaughlin, coming to you guys bright and early. My body thought it would be a funny joke to wake me up at 4:55 this morning, so here we are. I was gonna get up around 5:30 and get this knocked out, but got our coffee ready, got everything to go. Also, if you guys are watching on YouTube, you can tell a couple more posters that haven't fallen off yet. I think I found the secret, some different tape, but I hope you guys are doing great this morning. Just really excited to be coming to you guys today because if you guys have been listening, you know I launched my course on Wednesday, and it's just been a lot of fun. It was, it's been in the works for a while to get it all professionally done and to get it all put together and to see it live. It's been really cool to see, especially just last week we got someone with no sales experience, a full-line sales rep role at Johnson & Johnson, an associate at Johnson & Johnson, an associate at Stryker, associate at Smith & Nephew, associate at Olympus, associate at Medtronic. So just to be seeing it all pay off and seeing people get hired, it's really fun. So again, if you guys would like, you guys can check out, the link is going to be in the description. Again, the thing I tell everybody is it is a commitment. This isn't one of those little cheap things to just go because we get you hired. It's not like all the other ones that have you spend a lot of money, tell you you're going to get hired, and then they don't help you. And then I get phone calls from those people crying. We get people hired, over 300 people, have screenshots for every single one. And if it is something you guys ever want to talk about, please call me. Feel free to reach out. Happy to get on phones. Literally was on 17 phone calls in the last 24 hours. So I get on calls. I always help out when I can. So happy to help out you guys whenever you need it. But now that we talked about the course, also if you guys see it, I got my broke-in shirt, a shirt I made when I first started this podcast to have people take pictures. I got pictures and people with it when they broke into the industry, so that's always fun. Hopefully you should try to get that on the website so people can have it, go cool places, take pictures. I think that'd be a lot of fun. But going into today's episode is all the different positions in medical device sales, because this is a common question I get asked. What are the positions? What are kind of the salaries, the pros and the cons? What are the job duties? So I just wanted to kind of do a deep dive for you guys today. Just kind of going in, again, talking about salary, talking about the financial opportunity, but also kind of what the path looks like. So everybody kind of has a clear route. So the ones that you really need to know, there's pretty much four major ones that you guys should know. And it's number one is the regional manager or the district manager, right? So when you guys are looking on LinkedIn, that's what it's going to come up as regional manager or district manager. The reason that this is important is this is the person who does the hiring. This is the person who is the manager, and then they usually have reps, anywhere from 5 to 10, 12 reps underneath them, but they're the ones who are responsible for hiring. And so when you guys are reaching out on LinkedIn, again, that's what you guys should be looking for is regional or district manager. When you see that, then that's the hiring manager is what they say. So I know that was always something that I didn't understand when I was trying to break in. I'm like, who hires, right? So it's the hiring manager equals the regional manager or the district manager. So that's number one. Number two, territory manager, aka the full line sales rep. Sometimes that can get confusing just by the name, but a territory manager, full line sales rep, they make different names for them. But that, again, it's exactly what it is, full line sales rep. Then you have the associate sales rep, and then you have the clinical specialist. So kind of wanted to break down all those, go into it, and then go from there. So I think we'll start from the bottom and then go up. So, and when I say bottom, it's just kind of the most entry level going up. So number one would be just associate sales rep. So this is the talk I've had with you guys. This will be the one that you guys are going after 99% of the time. Like I said, I did just get someone hired as a full line sales rep. Several people like Alexis that you guys saw on here, the nurse, like myself, we have gotten full line sales rep roles, and it's great, but it is very, very tough and very competitive. Like I say, I tell you guys all the time, I was just very blessed. I was lucky that, I was going to be the associate for this position. And then both people quit within 3 days of each other. And then they had two positions open, so here I am. The rest is history. But again, most of the time you guys are going to be going in as the associate sales rep. And we'll go into that. So what is the associate sales rep? The associate sales rep is the person who's coming in as an entry-level rep. that you're coming in to learn, basically. You're going to be doing all the running around, running trays, covering cases. I tell everybody, you're the grunt. You're the grunt work. Like that's not, it's not a bad thing, right? Like when I say that, people sometimes like look at it with a negative mindset, but it's not. Like, you don't know what you don't know is the best way to explain it. And so you guys just have to learn it. And the best way to learn it is by doing it. So with the associate sales rep role, like this is where, like I tell people, a lot of times you're doing things that help out the full line sales rep role, or just what they don't want to do, right? And this is always a conversation I have all the time with people trying to get into that role. They'll be like, well, that's not fair. And I'm like, well, you wanted to break into med device and you want to make all the money, but you think you just come in and it just happens. Like, you have to earn your stripes is what they always say. And so that's the thing, is like, yeah, it's not always fair. Welcome to life. Like, you're the associate. Like, you came in and you're going to learn it, because guess what? In a couple of years, you'll be a full line sales rep, and then you're going to do the same. Like, then you'll make money and then you'll do your stuff. So again, like from my experience, again, I tell people all the time, associate sales reps, when I was getting hired, what I'm seeing in the market when I talk to the people I'm getting hired, usually it's between $50,000 and $70,000 is what they're going to get. Between 50 and 70K. Some give car stipends, some don't. Some will give you a car. It just matters. That's when it's always going to depend on what company you guys go with. And then just understanding that with that, there could be bonuses. So just because I say it's 50 to 70 grand, like I know in my company, there's a division that they start their associates off at 100. Right. So, and I do know a couple startups, some startups that they have their people starting at 120, 130. I just talked to a guy, 130K was what he's making as an associate, which again, it's crazy, like as an associate that they're making that. So, because then the full line sales rep's making more. But just something to be aware of is because 99%, that's the most entry level position. So that's where you guys 99% of your time are going to try to be getting hired. If you don't have, that sales experience, you've never been in medical device sales, which you haven't if you're not in it, you know what I mean? And so that's where I would focus my time if I were you guys, because that's going to give you the best shot. But it's also the reason, here's some pros and cons. So I was just talking to an associate yesterday. This is the pro of it, right? You don't know anything, and it's, again, not in a bad way. You just don't know what you don't know. And like I tell people, it's like learning a new language. All the terms that come into medical device sales, all the responsibilities that come into it. Plus you get a quota, like we just had quota roll out yesterday. And when they're like, oh, we're going to add another 300-400 grand to your quota. And like that's just the stuff that comes with it. And like for us as the reps, right? If you're not hitting that extra 300 or 400K lift, like you're not getting paid at 100% to your plan. So you're not making the money that you're like would, right? Compared to an associate, majority of the time it's just going to be a base, or it's going to be a salary. They're just going to give it to you. And then, so let's say it's the 70, I hear this all the time. So it'd be like 70 grand. And then if your rep or your territory performs, then you could get a bonus. And so it could be another $5,000 to $20,000 that you could possibly make depending on what it is. So again, the associate sales rep role is, you're the grunt. You're going to be the person that is doing all the work that most people don't want to do. But again, you got to earn your stripes. You got to make sure that you come in, you got to do this. But the reason here's why it's good, because you're going to do it. And then 2 years later, and that I should say that usually it takes about 2 years from my experience to break in from an associate to a full line sales rep. Could it be faster? 100%. I know people that got hired 11 months in, but a lot of times the full line sales rep, or to be a full line sales rep, like a lot of my organization talks about like, hey, 2 years. So just something to expect when you guys are going in, that it could be 2 years before you actually break in to the full line sales rep role, but it can always be earlier. So I wanted to state that with when you guys are doing that. So again, but your job is to come in, be an associate, learn everything. So when you do go to be a full line sales rep role, you know how to do running the trays, setting up meetings, doing business reviews, like all that stuff already. So then when you do have a quota over your head where you're getting paid, you know how to already do it. So that is the perk of being an associate. You're going to learn it. There's really no pressure. Besides, yes, you have to run trays. Yes, you have to be at cases. You got to make sure they all go good. But like, you're not doing that plus on top of like, hey, are you performing? Because if you're not getting paid, right? So that's something nice. Then number two, going into like the clinical specialist. Again, clinical specialist doesn't mean it's like not an entry level. But I just wanted to kind of touch on it. Associate's just the most well-known and probably the easiest to get in. Clinical specialist, this is the talk I have with like a lot of nurses. Not a bad thing to look at, because the clinical specialist, you're just being the expert on the product in a position. So usually, like from my experience, they usually will stay in one hospital because it's like a very busy hospital and they're doing a lot of volume, or maybe they're in several hospitals around an area, like in a city that they can go to, and then like their job is to what it sounds, clinical specialist. They're going to be the clinically sound person, and then a lot of times these come into implants. So like for example, if there's like a pacemaker, or if there's I know they're doing it with like neuromodulation, stuff like that. They need to implant it into a patient, but then they need to have open communication with the patient. So it's not just doing the surgery and helping the surgeon get it put in, but once it's in the patient, educating the patient, teaching the patient. If the patient's having any problems with the implant, that's where like the clinical specialist comes into play. So again, this is a great, where I tell people, if you have a clinical background, like a nursing or something like that, it's a great opportunity for you to break in and get your foot in the door, because the nice thing about a clinical specialist is normally you don't have a quota. You're not responsible. So it is kind of like a job, for the fact of like, you just come in, you do your hours that you're scheduled to do, or what you got on the schedule for the day, and then you're just getting paid a salary. You're not really worrying about, what's the bonus, what's the structure. It's kind of like the associate. Hey, you're going to get paid this much, but if you guys hit bonus, then you can make more. So when it goes into salary, like this is where it always gets tricky, no different than everything in life. When I'm talking to clinical specialists, because this is what I can always say, like I made a TikTok and everyone got like there's a couple that are like, I don't make this. And I'm like, okay, I'm just telling you what I know. So for example, because I put in, and there's some clinical specialists, they're making like between 70 and 100K, which again, great opportunity. But like the comment I made was, I know several clinical specialists, me personally, and they all make 120 to 150. Like the girl I just talked to, she makes 150. They have a $750 car stipend. Like she has a great work-life balance. But she doesn't have to worry about selling or anything. So you know what I mean? So like that is a possibility as a clinical specialist. She is with a startup. But when people ask me what's the average, I just go off of based with people I'm talking to. So again, apparently on TikTok, there's several clinical specialists making between 70 and 90K. But all the clinical specialists I personally know are at that 120 to 150. So that's something to think about. And again, not having a quota, you're just literally doing the clinical part. You're working with patients. And there's a lot of people who do like that. And again, it's because some people want to do somewhat of the sales, but they don't want to be like, for example, responsible for quota when you have a 300K lift, and then now it's all on you. And if you're not hitting that, and if you're running at 80% of plan, well, you're not making your app plan. Now you're making under. So that can be a stressor as well. And some people just don't want to deal with that. So that can happen with people. So that's really the clinical specialist. Then going into number 3, the territory manager, the full line sales rep role. So that's the role that everyone's trying to get into. They want to be a full line sales rep because that's possibly financially where the money is, as like what you know as a rep. And you also have the responsibility. So if you are a TM, you're like, for example, I personally I don't have an associate. I don't have a clinical specialist. I don't even have a teammate anymore out here, but it's just me flying solo. But if you do, like if I was a territory manager and I was in certain divisions, I would be responsible for my quota, but I would also be responsible for that clinical specialist and that associate. Like they're an employee of the company, but they're also like your employee of your territory. So you got to make sure it goes, because when you're the full line sales rep or you're the territory manager, it's your business. And they say that all the time. So you might work for a certain company, but it's your business inside that company. So like for me, like everyone knows, like in my business, like I'm Jacob, I'm the rep, that's my stuff, right? And so that's just something to be known as like, so they have the quota, they're doing all that, but then they're also responsible for everybody underneath them, making sure that they're doing what they're supposed to, that they're doing things that can help their territory, that's going to grow revenue, that's going to help them get paid, right? And that's some of it. So a little more responsibility. And again, when you are the territory manager, you're responsible for all of it. So like, for example, if I don't have an associate, which I don't, now I take all the responsibilities that an associate would be doing for me, running trades, covering cases, setting up business meetings, that like if I had some free time, like those big things, I do all that. Plus, you're having business reviews, plus you're converting doctors, plus you're selling like for me, like selling capital and having those big meetings, getting quotes out to people, doing customer service, like troubleshooting, like I'm on FaceTimes all the time, getting on like, hey, we don't know what we're doing. Literally just had 2 calls yesterday. Hey, we're in cases, like, bam. And then like also like dealing with these cases half the time go and nobody lets me know. And then they're pissed off at me because I'm not at the case, but I'm like, hey, I didn't know about the case. Your scheduler at the hospital and your scheduler at the office didn't let me know. So help me help you. Like, you guys got to let me know. But then again, the nurses don't care about that. They're still pissed that you're just not there to help them and they're in all stress, right? So it's like you deal with all of it. When you're the territory manager, it's all on you. That's where I talk about Jocko, where he's like extreme ownership. That's what it is. That's what being a territory manager is. Whether it's good or it's bad, it's all on you. And let's just be straight up. There can be a lot of bad sometimes. even with me, like in my territory, right? I took over the lowest performing territory. Like I was reflecting in the hospital yesterday when I was sitting in there, because I think about, for the last 2 years, I've gone in and like I've over delivered. I've done in services for every single one of my accounts. I show up to every one of my accounts. I'm there on a monthly basis. If they're very far away, maybe a bi-monthly basis. But it's like I show up, I over communicate. I have emails with all my accounts. Hey, you guys need to let me know when there's cases, all this. But yet time and time again, it's nobody let me know about the case. I'm getting a call from a pissed off doctor. Like, that's just the stuff that you deal with on a day-to-day basis. And it's like, even when you're doing your job, you've over communicated. Like, there was one of my accounts that I just tell everybody, because I'm always open. Like, one of my accounts, I have written in an email, we've had some problems of them, like the doctors get mad because I'm not at the cases, but they're in another state, but nobody lets me know about the cases. I went out there, I did in-services because they needed help with in-service, making sure they know the product. So I do that, I record it, I send them the video, I have it uploaded so they can use that anytime. I have an email that says, hey, for the next 3 months, you guys have to call me about every single case since we've had problems. You got to FaceTime me before you get into the room so I can help you guys. And Friday, I had a call. We had a bad case. Nobody let me know about it. I'm like, well, guys, like, here's the email chain. What more do you want me to do? You guys all agreed to this. So like, that's the stuff just as a rep that you're balancing a lot of the times. Plus getting new doctors, plus dealing with supply chain issues. Like, we have back orders. So it's not like I'm just going and selling. I'm the one dealing with all my accounts. I just got an account calling me yesterday. Hey, we've been making orders for the last 3 weeks. We haven't got one of them. We have surgeries tomorrow. We are all out of stuff. Like, what the heck? Like, and then I'm calling customer service, seeing where the POs are. I'm seeing what hasn't shipped, why it hasn't shipped, and then you have to get your manager involved. Like, there's just all that stuff. So like, that's the long story of like what a full line sales rep could be for you guys. But again, that's just my experience, right? And that's what I always share with everybody. First off, I never say I'm an expert. I don't believe that. I'm just sharing my experience with you guys. And so like, that's my experience as a full line sales rep, a territory manager. Now, what everybody always wants to know, what's the money you can make, right? And so this is the talk I have with everybody. One, this is one reason I do enjoy this industry, is because it can financially make you free. It can make you to where if you're not a dummy with your money, and I always joke around with people on the phone calls, like, again, I was a personal trainer. When I moved out here, I had $1,200 to my name. So life's good now. Like you make more than $5,000 a month, 10 grand a month, like, okay, cool. Like, I don't worry really as much. So like, again, that's never a brag. That's just I'm financially to the point where like, this is an industry that can get you financial freedom to where you're not worried about what groceries cost. You're not worried about when you go to go out to eat, what the bill is, right? Like, and that's a very, like, I tell people all the time, I think that's the most important thing in life, is like, money's great, but money's just a tool. But like, once you get to the point where you're not really worried about like what the bill is, and if you go out to eat several times, or go out on dates or whatever it is, you're not really too concerned. Like, that's the point in life where I say pretty much you made it, right? Because you're not living paycheck to paycheck anymore. You're not where it's at. And so with like medical device sales, as you guys have seen, I've posted it a million times, right? The average medical device sales rep, this was taken from medreps.com, which again, this is where they go in, they ask reps, what's your salary? What's your years of experience? Are you male or female? What race are you? Like, they go and do it all. And from their studies and from their information they got back, the average rep makes about $177,000 a year. And so like, it's a plus or minus, right? The reason I say that is it's an average, and everybody always gets all like weird about it. I'm like, that means there's people that are making way under that. Like, I know reps that like suck and they make 90K or 80K. That's not 177, right? And when I say suck, I don't mean that in like trying to be a dick. I'm just like, they just don't perform. You know what I mean? Or they're with like a company that doesn't give them the opportunity to make money. So it's like there's those, or there's reps that I know that are making 400 or 500K, $1 million. Like that is, I got a question. Can you make $1 million? Yeah, you can. It's very hard now. And I'm just being straight up. I don't think you're going to do it with a W-2 employer. Like you're probably not working at a big company and making that, because they're going to make that money, not you. Those are people like that I know that are like distributors that are making that kind of money because they've built their own business and they've been in it for a long time, have great relationships and all that good stuff. So yeah, that's a long story short of like, hey, the average rep makes $177,000 a year. But again, that's 20 years experience, 0 years experience. It's the average, right? So there's always going to be pluses and minuses. Now, let me just tell you guys, as someone, like when you go on the med reps, it tells you like, hey, most average first years make, under 100K, second to third year or fourth year, like, making between 90 and 110, 120. And then you get up, right? And then after like 10 plus years, you're looking at like, oh, this person could be making 200K is the average after 8 years in the industry, right? Because you have experience, all that good stuff. And so all I have to say is like the average, like you can make that. Like in this industry, it's very doable. Like with you guys, I'm always open with you guys. I finished number 8 in the nation. Well, that means I was over my quota. I finished my quota at 134% to plan. Well, for my company, they do 30% overage. So if you do the math, right, if I'm over 100%, so there's 34%, well, every dollar I'm over, I got 30% of it. So, if I'm over 100K or if I'm over whatever it was, like let's just keep it simple for you guys. If it's 100K, I just got a $33,000 payout check. Or 30,000, sorry, can't do math. A $30,000 payout check, right? Like, so that can be, so if your base is whatever, you add another 30, 50, 100, whatever it is on top of that, yes, you can make that. So the only reason I'm going into that detail is saying, yes, it is possible. Yes, I've made more than the average. So it is possible. I'm not even 2 years into this industry. I've done what the average rep makes. And again, that's for the whole industry. So again, that's never a brag. That's never to be like, hey, look how much money, because again, I'll go back to landscaping making $12 if I have to, right? Like it's not about that. And again, like I've told you guys, once you make the money, it's great, but it's just a tool. It's just a tool to invest. It's a tool to help others. And that's what I truly believe. And that's why, like, that's what drives me. It's the money now for me, just so you guys know, is like, it's kind of like Monopoly. It's just real life Monopoly. It's just a game, because once you get to a point, like money just solves money problems. And so like, if money was the problem and you solve it, okay, that's great. But then what else is going on in your life, right? And that's what a lot of people that I've personally worked with, they'll go after the money, but they won't work on themselves, or they won't focus on like what else is going on in their life. So again, that's a long rant that has nothing to do with this. I will change the subject now, but just something to know, you guys, like this is an industry that can change your life. It can change your family's life. It can allow you freedom. It can allow you to be open. Like one thing I just want to share is, one of the girls that got hired, full line sales rep, and they just messaged me and they're like, I worked less this month and this is the biggest paycheck I've ever got from my career I did before this. Like, that's cool. Like that's like when we talk about life changing, that's cool, because that's the most money. Now they have more freedom. They can go do the things they like. They can go be who they want to be. They can go enjoy experiences because now they financially have the money to go do it. Like, that's the cool part. And then also go help others. So that's why I love this industry and why it's an opportunity, because you're also helping others during this, right? It's not all about the money, but like I always am just straight up, I'm a very business-minded guy. You have to have money. You have to make money. Otherwise, you literally don't do anything because you don't make money, right? Like all these people are like, oh, I want to do what I love. But at the end of the day, like you also have to pay your bills. So yes, you can do what you love, but you also there's a monetarily part that has to come into it. So going on that full line sales rep, and then ending it with the regional manager, the district manager. This is pretty easy. With them, here's the thing. Managers, can they make a lot of money? Do I know managers that make 300K plus? Yes, I do. Do I know managers that make under 150 plus or 150K? Yes, I do, right? So like, that's just a comment to know, especially like I learned with a lot of these big companies, unless you're crushing it, you're not making that much money. And just to be known, like on average, like in the bigger companies and all that, the top performing reps will make more than like the average managers, right? So, because you're getting like, if I perform and I get a 30% and I'm over 500K, right? I just got a giant payout check compared to the managers. They might have to hit $1 million or $1.5 million, and then they start getting a bonus, and the bonus is pretty small because it's a big number, right? So just something to be aware of. But again, like from what I've experienced, like the average manager, like I'm pretty sure on med reps that it was around, like 250 is where you'll see like the average manager. But again, managers are usually people who have been in the industry for 10 plus years. They have experience, they've had success, then they go into management. So again, but like I said, there are managers that I know that make under 150. I know there's managers that make way over that. And just know that if you're not like a high performing manager, if you're not making all of it, sometimes your reps can make more than you. And that's something, that's why you'll like talk to reps that are 40, 50 years old and they just never became managers because they just didn't want to manage people. They didn't want to go to management, but also they're like, I can make more money being the rep than I can being the manager, and I could probably deal with less. Because when you're the manager, like let's just say, like for my team, right, there's 6 people or 7 people or whatever it is now, as full line sales rep, like my manager is responsible for all of us. So like how I'm responsible for like my territory, she's responsible for all of us, because if I have questions, I go to her. If my teammate has questions, they go to her. If there's an account that's unhappy with us, they go to her. Right? Like they can go to us, but then if they're unhappy with like the rep's performance or whatever it is, then they go to her, right? So she's dealing with all of it, compared to like, that's why I've talked to some reps that they just stay, they're like, it's just my stuff, right? And I just stay in it. So I hope this was helpful, you guys. Again, my biggest thing is I just trying to provide value. That's what I want to do. My goal is just to help as many people. Again, the one thing I do always want to just state is when I do talk about money, I know sometimes to certain people, because I've gotten the messages, it can be triggering. Like when I talk about money, this is never to be like in an arrogant way. It's never to be like mean to people or like make people feel bad. I'm just trying to give my experience and also tell you what is possible in this industry. And I think it's a beautiful thing. I think it's, like being in an industry where you can be in the top 10%, you can be in the top 5% of America, you can be up there, right? And like you can make a difference in your life and your family's life, and you can have success. And if you're someone who's competitive and you like to get after it, and like I have it all taped up right now, you can't see it, but like I literally have, hey, here's stacked rankings. Here you were when you were number 66. Here you are number 8. Like, oh, here's when you were number 5. Like just all of it, like it's competitive. So again, I just always want to share that with you guys. But I truly appreciate your guys' support. Again, got the Broken t-shirt. Again, if you guys haven't, the link is in the description, but got that new course out. Again, I've been able to help, like I said, over 300 people break into this industry. It's the most rewarding, the messages every single day of like, hey, I broke in. Just yesterday I got 2. So that's super cool. Again, just getting people who break in this industry. That's the one thing I make sure to let you guys know. As you guys can tell from the content I've made, is like I get people hired, I got myself hired, I got offers, I still get offers. And so that's the thing I just push for you. If you guys are serious, if this is something that you really want, this is a course that it's going to help you, because it's not only the course, we're going to be getting on bi-weekly calls. And like for me, I'm actually only having a select few of people come in. And so I'm going to be coaching those people. Like if you're paying me money, I'm going to get you hired. Like that's how I work. So that's just something I want to say. But again, if you guys ever have questions, if you have concerns with it, please reach out to me on LinkedIn, Instagram, anything, new to medical device sales, Jacob McLaughlin on LinkedIn. I'm happy to get on a call with you guys. I'm happy to go over any concerns that you have. Happy to, also tell you what goes into it. So let me just know if there's anything. Otherwise, you guys, if you can, press that like and subscribe button. If you guys are watching on YouTube, a 5-star review helps us grow this channel. If you guys are listening on the podcast, especially Apple. And then if you guys would like, you guys can reach out to me on Instagram, new to medical device sales. I literally get messages every single day, so I love that. I appreciate you guys reaching out, and I get back to everyone. Again, like I say, it may take me a couple days, but I do get back to everybody. And if I haven't gotten back to you, reach back out, because there's a good chance I was on the phone, I was looking at getting you, and then I got a call or something happened, right? So I always try to get back to you guys. And then if you want TikTok, I put daily videos. I try to do 3 a day normally, where it's just going on. We just went over 11,000. So thank you guys for the support. Again, just trying to educate as much as I can. And so, yeah, you guys can check us out. YouTube, new to, Jacob McLaughlin. Otherwise, if you guys just search new to medical device sales, you will find me. But I hope you guys have a fantastic week. You guys get after it. You go after everything you want. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I'm always here for you. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.